speaker is Jim Remsik, who will be speaking on an exciting topic, 0 to 300 kilometer an hour with bullet train. Jim strongly believes in the quote, genuinely desire success in those around you and do what you can to make it happen. He is an experienced founder with a demonstrated history of working in the computer software industry. He comes with a strong entrepreneurship and is professionally skilled in web applications, JavaScript, databases, Ruby on Rails mobile applications, and test drive development. Please welcome Jim to the stage.
But here we go. All right. So anybody who's put together a talk knows that we're going to rush through, we're going to gloss over details. It's going to be okay, but we're going to do a lot of stuff in this talk. So thank you to Taz, making sure that the clicking thing works, which is a good reminder to get my phone out. So yeah, we're going to do a lot in a little bit of time. It's not going to be production code when we're done, but hopefully you'll be a little bit interested in Bullet Train, which is not something that I've written. It's just something that we've been using, I'm excited about. My name is Jim Remsik. I'm the founder and CEO of Flagrant. If you get out your phone and scan that QR code, you'll see an adorable picture of my dog. It's well worth it. I've seen some phones. We'll go from there. All right, so 0 to 300 kilometers per hour with Bullet Train. What is Bullet Train? Bullet Train is a framework built on top of Ruby on Rails. So who here has built an authentication system, or has built an app with authentication, right? I should see a lot of hands probably, right? Okay, how many of you use Devise? Almost the entire room, right? We all use the same tools all the time. So what if we just make that assumption that we're going to use Devise? Then we can skip past some of that work that we have to do every time. And so that is sort of the underlying idea of Bullet Train. There's a lot of decisions that have been made already. So the good news is there are a lot of decisions that have been made already. The bad news is somebody else made those decisions. And so we'll have to agree that maybe somebody else is right for a little while, but we'll go from there. Is it open source? Yes. And similar to Sidekick Pro, there's a pro model of Sidekick. None of what we're talking about here is in the pro model. This is all free and is stuff that you could download today and play with. It was developed by Andrew Culver, who has teams spread across much of the world. So there's Ottawa, Berlin, Osaka, Brazil, and Melbourne. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to actually build something that is some value. So we've got this business contract. We're going to define a customer. We're going to define the sender of the document. And we're going to send that through the Docusign API, and we're going to see a live update. Got to put that into an envelope in order to send it off to Docusign. So live coding is rarely a good idea, right? It's a bad idea usually, including today. But we're still going to do it. We'll have fun. I've done a few steps already just because they're time consuming and I was concerned about internet. So we've already cloned the base Bullet Train repo. We've called it one. Fun fact, there are double-digit numbers of folders, but I went back and cleared out one so we could use that today. We're going to CD into that folder. We're going to run bin configure, which is going to configure the app to run as our app rather than the template that we're running from. And then we're going to do bin setup, which is going to set up our databases, run some seeds, etc. So shall we live code? Yes. All right. Let's jump into a terminal, and we are going to, wow, those drums did a number on my fingers. So we are going to spin up our server. Did a number on my brain too. All right, so hey, there's the schedule. So let's open up localhost, not 8. We want to look at 1. All right, so here's kind of what we get out of the box. Is super impressive devise login screen that's been slightly customized. Amazing, right? Right? Yeah. All right. I'll believe you. So let's go ahead and, actually, you know what? I don't know if we have an account yet. So let's go ahead and create an account. And we're going to set a super secret password that is totally not RubyConf. But here's an interesting, here's an example right out of the gate. If, as a developer, what is our password on our development accounts? Password, right? I heard somebody say it out there. So we're just going to go ahead and type in password. Or I think I typed in password. Top 10 common password. Probably we shouldn't use that. So we'll go ahead and use our super secret RubyConf password. And we're going to create an account. All right, I set this up. I do already have an account. So let's go ahead and just log in. All right. Live coding is always a bad idea. Has anybody ever told you that? We'll try one more time. Oh no. You know, if I were smart, I would have a version of this that definitely works, and I could just pull it out of the oven. Why is it telling me to create an account? Will give me 2 minutes, and then we'll pull the chicken out of the oven. That is an excellent suggestion. However, I'm going to cheat the way that we usually cheat and say, I'm a completely different person than before. +1. All right. We managed to log in. Fantastic. So letter opener is set up, and it's set up to open in development so that we can get feedback, so that we can view the emails. We're not going to do that right now because we have all these details here, so we are going to type in our information. We're going to be blue team. Never live coding ever again. So here's an example. We've got a rich form that is allowing us to look up our time zones. Just little details like that are helpful. We've already created a document. This is just a Rails G model. We created a document that has a name and a template. And just so that you don't have to watch me type all day long, I've got some helpers over here. We are going to create a document, and we have action cable set up. So, there we go. So automatically we've got the action cable set up. It's already configured for us. It's one less thing that we have to do. We made some typos in our name. Let's go ahead and say business.update attribute and fix that name to be business contract. And we see it update in place. Awesome. So things are back on track. So we have a document, we need customers, and then we need envelopes. So we skipped the document. Initially, we're going to Rails G model here, which is just a standard, a customer belongs to a team. One of the things that you get with Bullet Train out of the box is that you get teams by default. Sometimes they're called organizations or accounts. They're baked into the template from the beginning. That way you can create you can associate things with members even when the users don't exist yet. We are going to super scaffold a CRUD of our customer that we're creating. It's going to be associated with the team, and it's going to have the name, which is a text field, and an email, which is the text field. All of this matches the Rails G that we just did. And once that works, we've generated all sorts of things there, you can see. Do we want to add this to the sidebar? Because this belongs to a team, we'll have the option of sending it to the sidebar. They even open up the Themify icons here, so we could dig through. I already know that this customer is going to be TI user. And so once we restart the server, the interactions that we saw where the edits were, the documents were updating automatically, it gives you a little helper to set that up correctly. We're going to skip it for customers because we've already got it set and we forgot to run our migration. So once that runs, we should have a customer. All right, awesome. So we have a customer. We're going to say that this is fake Jim, and we're going to use my other email address. All right, so we have customers and documents. Next, we need envelopes. Envelopes get a little bit trickier. And here we can see what we're doing is we're generating a model called envelope, which belongs to the team, the customer, and the document that we've created. We also have this sender ID. Senders are going to be users, so this will be the user that is creating the system. And we've got force in there just because we've run this a time or two on this application. So we will generate that model, and now when we super scaffold, we're going to get some interesting extra abilities. So we are going to super scaffold the CRUD for envelope, which belongs to the team, which is the parent. We define this customer ID as a super select, and we pass the class name of customer to it. That means that we're going to be able to look up all of our customers that belong to this team. We'll be able to define who they are. We're going to do the same thing with documents and sender IDs. Let's just go ahead and run this, and then we'll need to run our migration again. Yep, we're going to put that on the sidebar. So this was an envelope. We'll close that. We know it's going to be an envelope, and we know that that exists already. And we get a whole to-do list of things. These are all basically one thing. We need to make sure that we define valid customers. So we'll open up code, and then open up the envelope model. And they have created these for us, but they haven't defined them. In our case, any customer that belongs to our team, we're going to show in that super select. So team.customers, team.documents, and for the senders, like we said, this is going to be the person who is implementing it, but we'll say it could be any member of the team, could be a valid sender. All right. So that took care of the top three here. We need to run our migration again. And then it's concerned for us. It said that we would have expected that a migration had defined what a sender is. We know that that's just going to be a user. And so it's going to be a foreign key to the table of users. So they've gotten the details in there for us. So we're going to create envelopes. And that sender is going to be a foreign key to the table users. All right, so we have 11 minutes left. Let's go ahead and run our migrations. That should be done. So now we should have envelopes. Awesome. We've been able to generate models, and they look kind of okay, right? Maybe that's nothing to be too excited about. But when we go to create an envelope, we see that we have a dropdown that consists of all of our customers. If we go in and add another customer, maybe it's Ann Buyer, Ann at example.com. When we go back to our envelopes, now Ann shows up here. If we had additional documents, they would show up there. If we had additional users in the system, which we could play with. The only thing here that we don't know is the document status. Docusign, which is the service that we're going to use, requires that we set this to sent in order to actually send it. And an envelope was created successfully. Hooray! I mean, it's in my computer. That's half the equation, right? What else are we going to do to make this work, though? We've already done our migration. Let's go ahead and integrate with Docusign, including OAuth. So we're going to close those. We're going to open up our gem file, and then go all the way down at the bottom. So we can get future updates of Bullet Train. If versions of gems get upgraded, et cetera, we can pull those updates into our app. As long as we put our gems down at the bottom in a dedicated space, it's going to know not to affect those gems. We're not going to wind up with merge conflicts, et cetera. So we'll save that. We'll bundle. And we're going to do a wholly different super scaffold now. We're actually going to super scaffold an OAuth provider. We're going to use the OmniAuth Docusign package, which is going to connect us to Docusign and create OAuth Docusign accounts. All this is help available if you just were to type super scaffold OAuth provider. And then we're going to give some secrets in order for Docusign to know who we are. We get a big warning saying, hey, you forgot to run your migrations because you have to run migrations before you can run super scaffold. I knew that, but this is just a lot to type, and I figured I would copy and paste, save us all a bit of time. So we will generate 3 models, an OAuth Docusign account, an integrations Docusign installation, and webhooks incoming OAuth Docusign account webhook. That's a mouthful, but we're going to go ahead and rerun our super scaffold, which is the same one that we ran before, and then we will, yes, we're going to use a icon for this, and we're going to say it's TI pencil because we're signing a document, and they don't have a pen. If we hadn't already set these up, we would need to set up our secrets. We've done that already. If our OAuth provider told us which callbacks to use, it gives us some insight there. And then the one thing that we need to do is this last note down here is with OmniAuth Docusign, it requires some scopes. And we're also working out of the sandbox, the demo account for Docusign. So we're just going to drop those right there. So we're setting 2 scopes, signature, because we're going through the Docusign signature workflow, and extended just gives us a little bit of extra time to play around. Did we run our migrations? No. I think I heard somebody say that out there. Thank you. We're going to kill our server because we've added a config initializer. We're going to make sure that those have run. We're going to rerun our server. And I left out bin dev is going to start up our all of our infrastructure, our yarn, our web server, our worker. And if we jump in here now, nothing has changed. Wait, no, we do have Docusign installations over here. So Docusign Installations is going to allow us to set credentials for the entire app because I'm logged in as an admin. So if we add a new Docusign installation, survey says, well, it's redirecting me to Docusign. Awesome. Because we've got our application details in here, it's redirecting us to the sandbox for Docusign, and we are logging in with our credentials, with my personal credentials, and if this all works well, it's going to send us back, and we're going to have a Docusign installation. What that means is we have, does that work better? Test 1, 2. Nope. Test 1, 2. I can hear it when I hit it. Test. 1, 2, 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Better? Awesome, thank you. Valuable time ticking off my clock. Okay, so we've got an authentication to Docusign, which means we can make API calls to Docusign. Where would that fit into our app? Well, we should probably, I don't know, let's write some code that we think we would want. So in the envelopes controller, and again, this is not production code, but it's not terrible code either. So in the envelopes controller, in create, if we successfully save our message, what we're going to do, oh, you son of a, all right, so we're going to perform an asynchronous job. What's going to happen is we're going to send the sender, which is the user, which is me. We're going to send the document template. We're going to send the customer ID, and we're going to send the status. And all of that was entered into the other models that we've created so far. We're going to just do a Rails generate sidekick job, send Docusign request. I'm looking at this clock, and it looks like we might actually make this. All right, so we've got a sidekick job. Now all we have to do is, let's take a look at it first. Send Docusign request. Do something. All right, let's do something. So we're going to flesh out this perform step. This is basically copied and pasted from the Docusign how-to. It is bare basics, nothing magic here, except that darn perform. Okay, so we're passing in the sender ID, we're sending in the document ID, the customer ID, and the status. We're going to look up the user by the sender ID. We're going to look up the document by the document ID, the customer by the customer ID. We're going to grab our token that now exists in our application. We're going to define an envelope. We're going to define a seller and a buyer because those exist as roles on the document that we're sharing. We're going to configure our API client, and then we're going to configure an envelope API client, and then finally, we're going to create an envelope using our Docusign API key and the definition of everything that we've done here. So let's go ahead and save this. And I feel like I'm missing something. Let's refresh, make sure our server is running. So let's create a new envelope. Let's delete this envelope because it didn't have any connection when we made it. So we're going to send this to fake Jim, which is my personal email. We're going to send a business contract, very official. We're going to send it as me, and we're going to give it a status of sent. And if this all works, we're going to look in our Sidekick developer queues. Well, it's going to work. I know why that's happening, but let's go ahead and just see it work. Send Docusign request job. We need to restart our server because we've created the new job for the worker to do, and it doesn't know about it yet. So we'll get this up and running, and we're going to delete that bad boy again. We're going to create a new envelope. We're going to send it to fake me, business contract, as me, and it will be sent. All right, so the envelope was successfully created. Now, if all this works, if we go over into that other tab, we should be able to see an email from Docusign. If it doesn't, then we won't. Hey, look at that. We've got a Docusign request, and we'll go ahead. We've got 22 seconds, so we can even wait for Docusign to load. Maybe. So we'll go ahead and allow, we'll agree to do this. This template I filled out in Docusign previously, so we're going to go ahead and sign it, adopt and sign, and then we're finished with you. We're going to go into my other email account, my business account, and say, oh, look, fake Jim already viewed this, but we want to look at the version that we need to sign because we need to make this thing official. Let's go ahead and agree to disagree. I'm the CEO. I'm going to sign the document. I'm going to adopt and sign. And you know what? We just did business, right? We made something of value in like 25 minutes time. That's pretty awesome. So I'm going to ignore the fact that my time is up. We're going to go really quickly. So, did our live coding experiment work? Yes. Awesome. So, what did we actually see? We saw Teams, invitation, and authentication were already in the system for us, including helpers like the password. There's if that password has been exposed in a password breach, et cetera, that's in there. We saw super scaffolding. We saw that maybe we didn't see this. Everything is reactive and responsive. We did see the reactive portion. We defined an OAuth provider integration. Here's the thing. Twitter integration, Facebook integration to log into your app is just as easy as what we did for Docusign. We saw language support. Maybe we didn't see language support, but all of this is backed by I-18N by default, which as an American I will fully admit is a blind spot that I have because everything is generally in English for me, and I know that that is not the case for the rest of the world. We had built a full REST API that we didn't touch. There's the ability to build third-party integrations. Didn't have time to magically write tests in your browser. That's available too. And you get future updates, including security updates, like Rich mentioned earlier. So like I said, we built something of value in 25 minutes. It's not production code. It's not quite ready, but we're pretty darn close. And I think that that's something to be excited about. So thank you. Follow me on Twitter. I have to duck out about 5 o'clock today, but would love to see any and everybody before I go. Thank you.